Hello, everyone. Sufit here. I'm here today with Charles B. Ticker, estate mediator and author of the popular book, Bobby Gets Bupkis, Navigating the Sibling Estate Fight. Welcome, Charles.
Hi, Sophie.
So we have a question today. Actually, quite an interesting question. You're a lawyer. How do you let the mediator know that you have a particularly difficult client entering this mediation? And should you even let the mediator know?
That's a great question. Yes, if you have a difficult client and I'm mediating your case, it is very helpful if you let me know whatever you can about your client, and you could do that as counsel in confidence. I typically have pre-mediation off the record chats with counsel individually, and I often ask them, anything else I should know about the file, about your client. So the more information I have, the better I can prepare, my approach, how I'm going to handle the mediation, how I'm going to approach this party, what buttons to push, what buttons not to push. So yeah, I think it is fine. I don't think it's a breach of confidence that mediation, everything is off the record anyway, and it's just between me and the council. So definitely, I would welcome that input.
Would some lawyers not feel a little reluctant to do that, thinking maybe it's prejudicial? Maybe if I confide in you that I have a difficult client, you'll kind of be less inclined to, act favorably towards my client. Maybe it's a violation of my responsibility to my client to put my client's interests first. Like, how would you respond to those concerns of a lawyer?
Yeah, and those are valid concerns because the concern is uh, the lawyer saying, my client's really the problem here. He or she's being unreasonable or has unrealistic expectations, and I've tried everything, and I just can't get them to come around. Obviously, that's something as counsel you don't want to put it that way, but I don't think there's a problem with telling the mediator, say, look, my client is really not happy about what's going on. I'm not sure how he or she is going to take to this mediation. They seem to just want to have their day in court and they're not interested. It's been very difficult to even get them to come to mediation. So, that sort of information is important. And because I've actually had counsel tell me this in a file where I was mediating, saying, this individual is totally impossible. He just refuses to negotiate or to listen to reason. And when I had that information, I went into caucus. Uh, the first thing I did was I didn't talk about the case. I just talked to the gentleman, see if get what his interests are. Man, this is terrible being involved in this. It must be an awful experience for you. Tell me a little bit about the family. Tell me about yourself, And we had a conversation, and I really showed I was just interested in who he was. And all of a sudden, he let his guard down, and he started getting more involved in the process. And he turned out to be quite reasonable throughout the day, and counsel were shocked. So, had I not had that information, I would have figured it out pretty soon. Once I go in there, you just read the body language or just the way they're talking. But having that information in advance enabled me to prepare my approach going in, so he would sort of soften his position.
I think you told me when we were preparing to record this that he even confided in you that he really wanted to settle this, I guess, which was not obvious before that. Is that right?
That's right. And that's what sort of shocked his lawyer because he had never said that to his lawyer before. He just, he was basically ready to go all the way to trial and fight, fight, fight. But yeah, he basically said, look, I don't want to fight. I want to settle. So there you go.
But what about that argument that you just raised? Won't it be obvious to the mediator without the lawyer saying anything anyway?
Well, like I said, yeah, sure, you're going to figure it out pretty quick in a mediation, which parties are going to be the tougher egg to crack, so to speak, or not to crack, I guess is the saying. And there's always going to be maybe one side that's more resistant to movement than the other. So yeah, you'll figure that out pretty quick. But having the information in advance and knowing a little bit more of the background enables me as a mediator to go in there and just find a different way. How am I going to disarm this person? How am I going to make this party comfortable? Because it's all about, comfort. They don't want to be there. They're not happy to be there. And we start talking about, I know you're not happy. I'm trying to help you so you can get this behind you and move on with your life because you're really not going to be happy going forward with court. I can promise you that. And we have a little
All right.
conversation and, that sort of helps.
Thank you very much. Our guest today has been Charles B. Ticker, estate mediator and author of Bobby Gets Bubkus, Navigating the Sibling Estate Fight. Thank you very much, Charles.
My pleasure.